Haji. So this is my typical overview. So this is how I start. Hey, I worked on. So typically in every news or interview, they'll ask for an overview in the very beginning. So these are the things I talk about. I have worked on customer 360-degree program. I have worked on patient 360-degree program, wherein they wanted to get a 360 view of the patient. So a lot of data was flowing from one system to another, and I was and MuleSoft was the middleware where that was being used.
Mhm.
I have implementations. I have worked on within the finance world. I have worked on KYC compliance. I have worked on suspicious activity reporting. I have also worked on migration of 25 CRM systems into a target system.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I have worked on. I have also worked on. So these are the things I speak among these. So I'm okay,
Mhm.
and then I typically speak like this. Okay, then I have also worked on number of interfaces like account synchronization, contact synchronization, location synchronization, patient synchronization. I've worked on complaint handling system. I've worked on multiple marketing and lead generation systems, sales systems, and service systems. So I understand typical integration needs of all these systems.
Mhm.
In terms of phases and TA tasks, I've been part of like architectural decisions. Typically, these are the things that I was involved in doing, like evaluation of COTS packages. So on the basis of NFRs, like like availability, like budget, or what kind of typical systems are there. On the basis of these, we evaluated like various things. Like we did the performance profiling of various components of various packages, and then did the performance. Then we evaluated the reliability. Then we reliability the support for various connectors that we needed. For example, HL7 connector. uh, then, like for example, like scalability, vertical and horizontal scalability. On the basis of all these things, we evaluated various codes packages. Then
Mhm.
I worked on a number of use cases and created POCs for that. Then typically I have been part of decision making for determining whether we should go for private cloud or RTF, right? So these are then I've also been involved in enabling the environment, basically connecting the existing applications using VPN to the cloud hub. Then I worked on VPN and VPC creation. So I worked on network architecture. Then I've also worked on IPsec tunnel. This is a very important keyword. So if you don't speak anything, just say IPsec tunneling. So I worked on IPsec tunneling also, to connect the network to the internal network to the cloud hub. And I've also worked on VPC pairing. VPC pairing. And then apart from that, I've also worked in the decision making for workers and controllers, like how many controllers would be there and how many workers would be there. I've also worked as an actor on the integration catalog, like defining the interfaces, then designing the various APIs like system APIs. Then then I've also worked on platform activities. I also worked on uh, API design and RAML and all those things, and like I've designed, and I've also like worked in complete integration, resources, traits, performance tuned APIs, and things like that. Then I've also worked on deployment strategies, wherein like we decide the course, or we decide how would the QA environment and production environment and testing, what would the testing strategy basically. So all this would look like. Then I've also worked on CI/CD. Shit. Okay. I've also worked on CI/CD, Jenkins for CI/CD server, Nexus for artifact repository, Bitbucket, Visual Teams, GitHub. I worked on all these things really well. And then I have I've now coming to the life cycle of the new software integrations application. I've worked on analysis wherein I did the level of effect estimation, complete with to identify how what reusable system APIs will use, what reusable components we will use, what experience API can be reused, what transformations are complex or easy, queues is involved or not. So many a time we don't say these things, just letting you know. We see the dark green ones.
Mhm.
Okay, ये लाइट वन तब है जब ज्यादा कोई डिटेल पूछता तो it's a level of estimation. So in the design I worked on decomposition diagrams, complete with end system. अब नोट करो थोड़ी टेक्निकल बातें आने लगी हैं.
Mhm.
Types of calls, what protocol, for example soap call versus DB pool versus REST versus file based, that is like what will FTP or what will be used. Then I have worked on integration like typically do you decide which integration pattern will be used as part of the design. So synchronous or asynchronous integration pattern, broadcast or migration or messaging. So basically this decision making I've done a number of times. I've done a lot of design work related to that. Then how they invoke our API, as it's going to be schedule based invocation, file based invocation, or DB based. If it is SFDC, then I've used streaming push topic also. We can also subscribe to MQ. So there are these are various like things that which are part of design. I've also worked in development. First we make API specification. So I worked on API specification development, API implementation. Then I worked on API development. So the way I've laid out is, मैं just बता रहा हूँ आपको कि ये इस तरह से लेआउट किया कि जो डार्क येलो में ना, द टिपिकली ये ओवरव्यू का पार्ट है. जब कोई डिटेल पूछ लेता है कि मुझे डेवलपमेंट का सारा बताओ, फिर हम सब बोलते हैं. ठीक है. जब कोई कहता है ओवरव्यू दो, तो शुरू में जैसे ओवरव्यू दे रहे हैं तो उस वक्त ये येलो वाली चीजें बोलनी है. दैट्स हाउ आई हैव लेड इट आउट दिस नोट्स. ठीक है. Now, I've worked on various integration design patterns like migration pattern using DB pulls, scheduler, file push, loading to target using batch processes. I've also used for each for small batches. I've also used MQ components. I've also worked on broadcast using MuleSoft components like scatter, gather, and exchange queues. I've also worked on bidirectional sync integration pattern, asynchronous and synchronous both. I worked on both kinds, and request and response as well as fire and forget. I've also worked on correlation aggregation. I've used flatten, flat map, and scatter gather. These are keywords which we should speak as much as possible ताकि उनको दिखे कि बंदे को आता है MuleSoft. Flatten, flat map, and scatter gather. I've also worked on idempotent receiver, guaranteed delivery, and I've also worked on this third one is written here, circuit breaker, because they ask a lot of questions on circuit breakers. So I've made it a separate note, but basically, so I worked on circuit breaker. Now in security, I worked on Auth 2.0 using Okta for external requests. I've worked on encryption of passwords using I've worked on Blowfish algorithm, and AES algorithm. Uh, I've also worked on tokenization, IP whitelisting, IP blacklisting. I have worked on JSON threat protection, rate limiting policy, throttle policy, client ID enforcement, channel-based security. So these are very security things, you know. Acha. I've worked on a number of components, like all the major MuleSoft components, like choice router, scatter gather, for each, batch job, transform message, a sync scope. I worked on error handler like or error continue and on error propagate. I worked on try catch. I've also worked on various connectors like Salesforce connector, Outlook, HL7, MQ, DB, Platform API, Kafka, this thing, Kafka consumer, and all that. Okay. Then I have worked on Object Store V1 and Object Store V2. Then I've also worked on various scopes like a sync scope, cache scope, for each scope, subflows, until successful scope. I worked on all major scopes. I've worked on a bulk API 2.0, and I worked on sync and async scatter gather also. And very importantly, now we come to really important thing. I worked on a best practice in best practices like API-led connectivity, how the experience and process and system APIs will be interacting. I have worked on runtime memory management, thread pooling, etc. I worked on error handling framework. I worked on I have worked on logging framework, health check framework, audit framework, notification framework. I have worked on change management, code review checklist, design reviews, naming conventions, versioning strategy, deployment checklist. So मैंने इनको जो red किए, this is because these are more important. These red ones are more important, but these are also important. I mean, see if you see one of the things is because now overview is now bigger, so you need to be little bit this thing, you know, कि आप कितना बोल पाओगे उस वक्त. So अगर आपको लगता है बंदा आपको if you are looking at the interviewer, if he's like getting a little impatient, just start saying these more important ones. But these best practices is really important. Now come to the pretty much the last one. um I have yeah, so after best practice then we say okay, so please feel free to ask me any of these questions. ठीक है. So ये आपका overview हो गया. मैं overview को जरा save कर लेता हूँ.